Does the D in Donald Trump's Department of Justice stand for disaster? Because that Department of Justice is not respected by federal judges any longer, appellate judges any longer, grand juries, or juries any longer. And the fact that they were able to even get a conviction of Donald Trump's, well, they want to call him a would-be assassin, so I'll go with that. The guy that had the AR-15 hanging out of a bush near the sixth hole of a golf course, who also, by the way, represented himself, fired his lawyers, and was so was so bat-ass crazy, as you know, that he actually told the federal judge at one point that he wanted the criminal prosecution to be resolved by having a death match with Donald Trump at golf, in which there be half-naked girls presiding over it, his words, and that if he lost to Donald Trump at golf, he'd allow Donald Trump to execute him by firing squad. And he represented himself. And now Pam Bondi's all excited. Yay! We crushed him. Justice was done. Political violence. Why don't we throw Charlie Kirk in there too? Why not? Pam, if your Department of Justice is taking credit for a prosecution that was started by the Biden administration, and you're crowing about a win against the guy who not only didn't go to law school, but belongs in a mental asylum, you look how low you have sunk. I cover it all on The Intersection, and here's a clip. We've got the conviction of the would-be assassin, if that's what you want to call him, of Donald Trump, Ryan Routh, in, of course, Donald Trump's favorite courthouse and favorite judge, Judge Eileen Cannon up in Fort Pierce, Florida. This guy represented himself. And the Department of Justice is squealing with delight about a prosecution and an investigation they did not start. This was before they were in office. This is them trying to take credit again for things the Biden administration did. And then crowing about, we got a victory for Donald Trump and against political violence, Pam Bondi said in a social media post. Today, because of the conviction and Donald Trump taking a victory lap, thank you to the Department of Justice, thank you to the judge, and thank you to the jury. All right, let's back up a minute, okay? Ryan Routh, how do I put this, is mad as a hatter, okay? Yes, he had an AR-15 sticking out of a bush on the sixth hole of a golf course while Donald Trump was back on the fifth hole a couple of months after Butler, Pennsylvania, okay? I don't know if the gun was loaded or not. I don't want to find out. Secret Service guy in a golf cart saw the gun, pulled him out. He ran. Somebody saw his license plate, and the rest is history. Ryan Routh is so crazy. How crazy is he, Popok? That he actually filed with the federal court a proposal that his criminal case should end, and instead he should have a golf match with Donald Trump in which there are female strippers, these are his words, not mine, female strippers, his words, on the putting green, and that if he loses to Donald Trump, then Donald Trump can execute him by firing squad. That's what he wrote in a federal filing. He's representing himself in the case. He fired his lawyers. Even this Department of Justice, whose reputation is in shambles, who the federal judges don't believe, who appellate judges don't believe, who juries don't believe, who grand juries don't believe. Even they can get a conviction over a guy that thinks strippers should preside over a golf match that ends in his being executed by firing squad. Don't you think? Now, what I said was, I left out, in Donald Trump's favorite courthouse, presided over by Eileen Cannon, who I'm sure is on his short list to be the next attorney general or on the Supreme Court. I mean, what else? I mean, this was all gas, no brakes for the Department of Justice. You can't win that case. You should cash in your chips at that point. And then for Pam Bondi, talk about too soon, to tie it back to Charlie Kirk, political violence will not be tolerated. It'll be prosecuted. Yeah, we got it. You know, I got news for MAGA. Independents and Democrats and non-MAGA Republicans don't want other people's heads blown off, no matter what their political party. Okay? As I've said before, I wanted to debate Charlie Kirk in the marketplace of ideas in the public square. Okay? We have to win at the ballot box, not with the bullet box. So for her, though, to tie it together in such a neat too on the nose package. And for Donald Trump to celebrate, hooray! This is a guy that I said, if he was smart and not crazy, not mentally ill, he would have tried the case on his own. He got reprimanded by the federal judge, Judge Eileen Cannon, and cut his opening statement short when he said all sorts of crazy things, including comparing people in the courtroom to Nazis and the rest. I mean, he was trying to get, I guess, a mistrial. But at the very least, it demonstrated to the jury who deliberated for 3 hours that he's crazy. But in order to do that, he had to be non-crazy and sane enough to bring his lawyers back in who were on standby and let them make the insanity defense. But he's too insane to have thought of that, so he didn't. And so they got the conviction. The guy should definitely be institutionalized, much like John Hinckley. Should he be serving time in jail? I doubt it. But that's the result. But it should come as no surprise. It's just the grandstanding and the crassness of it all on full display by Pam Bondi. And here's the irony. She could be replaced by Eileen Cannon. Eileen Cannon was on the short list during the transition period when Donald Trump won but wasn't yet president. The list leaked. It had her, Eileen Cannon, as Attorney General. Todd Blanche is number 2. He's number 2. Emil Bovee is number 3. He was number 3 until he got kicked upstairs to the Third Circuit Court of Appeals. The list was right, except after it leaked, they flipped it and they went to Matt Gaetz. And when that failed, then Pam Bondi. See, she's always been, at best, the second choice. So if Pam Bondi loses her position, and based on what Trump did 3 days ago in publicly humiliating Pam Bondi about the Eastern District of Virginia prosecutor, I don't think she's long for that position. And if that happens, Pam, I got bad news for you. That happens, Trump loses, MAGA doesn't win in 2028. There's going to be some prosecutions of you for how you've acted in violation of the rule of law, ethics, and the Department of Justice manual. Because in the Eastern District of Virginia case, Eric Seibert, as we talked about, had enough courage to say, I'm not going to prosecute Donald Trump's political enemies on no evidence. I'm not going to bring false charges against somebody, vindictively prosecute them, which, by the way, provides a major defense to people. I think Eric Seibert resigning or being fired provides a major defense to the Democrats who would be prosecuted by Donald Trump. I would bring in that prosecutor to testify. I'm sure that prosecutor, Eric Seibert, is going to be brought in before the House Oversight Committee, the Judiciary Committee, to meet with Mr. Raskin and Mr. Goldman and Mr. Moskowitz and Ms. Crockett. And on the Senate side, Senator Schiff and Senator Booker talk about his resignation. You know that's coming, and it should. Donald Trump says, no, I got rid of him because he was supported by Democrats. He was confirmed in May. This is almost October. That's not the reason you fired him. You fired him because he wouldn't bring a case against Letitia James. It's nonsense. And when Pam Bondi didn't move fast enough, Donald Trump went after her in the last 48 hours, like in all caps on Truth Social. Pam, I think he's calling her name. Pam, we have to act fast. You're moving too slow. You must go after, and then he names them, Schiff, James, Cook, and the rest. I'm like, well, this plays right into the hands of the defense. If this wasn't Exhibit A, vindictive prosecution dismissal, I don't know what would be. Pam, you got to hurry. Lindsay Halligan, Lindsay's cute, and she likes you. Now, I added the cute part. But he actually wrote in the social media post, she likes you, like we're talking about a 7th grade, cafeteria squabble. She really likes you. She's Who is Lindsay Halligan? You wouldn't normally know her if Donald Trump wasn't president. She was a insurance defense lawyer, never been a prosecutor, didn't go to didn't graduate with high honors, didn't go to the best places, didn't end up at the best law firms, if you know what I mean. But she looks like she should be on Fox and Friends or Fox News. She's another one of those air-blown blonde people that Donald Trump collects, and looks a little bit like a blonde version of Alina Habba. That seems to be her qualifications. 8 years out of law school. And what she'd been doing? Well, she was the Mar-a-Lago, back to Florida, local counsel, where they pulled her out of the Federalist Society playbook somehow. And then she got pulled into the White House to rummage around the Smithsonian and try to figure out how to cancel out facts that Donald Trump didn't like the fact that he was impeached, or that black people were enslaved, or that Jewish people were killed by Germans, little sticky little facts like that. And so Donald Trump looked around and said, you look like Hope Hicks / Alina Habba / fill in the blank. You go do this job. And when Pam Bondi had a moment of being her own person and nominated somebody else, Meg Cleary, who nobody's ever heard of, he said, no, Lindsay Halligan. And then he put Lindsay Halligan in. It's all a shit show of Donald Trump's making, all playing into the hands of federal public defenders and defense lawyers. Welcome back. The Intersection is a podcast I do on Tuesday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on the Midas Touch Network. I do it live just for you. No smoker sunshine. I'm completely unfiltered, sometimes unhinged, mainly unplugged. But if you join me, you'll find out all the great things about The Intersection. Help support the show. You're already doing that in tremendous numbers. We're getting between 300,000 and 400,000 people to watch it on YouTube, and then many more to download it. Download us on, go to The Intersection on anywhere you get your podcasts from, like Spotify and Apple. Just plug in The Intersection, leave a 5-star review, listen to it, watch us on YouTube. Commercial-free versions up on Legal AF Substack for you as well. And because of you, we ended up in the top 75 of all podcasts last week on YouTube. Thank you for that. Join, find out what everybody knows already or is learning already about The Intersection on Tuesday nights. And while you're here on Legal AF YouTube, hit the free subscribe button. You want to become a card-carrying member of Legal AF community? Legal AF, the podcast, Intersection, the podcast, Legal AF, the YouTube channel, and of course, Legal AF Substack. And if you can swing a paid membership, all the better. So until my next report, I'm Michael Popok. I'm Michael Popok, and I got some big news for our audience. Most of you know me as the co-founder of Midas Touch's Legal AF and the Legal AF YouTube channel, or as a 35-year national trial lawyer. Now, building on what we started together on Legal AF, I've launched a new law firm, the Popok Firm, dedicated to obtaining justice through compassionate and zealous legal representation. At the Popok Firm, we are focused on obtaining justice for those who have been injured or damaged by a life-altering event by securing the highest dollar recoveries. I've been tirelessly fighting for justice for the last 35 years, so my own law firm organically building on my Legal AF work just feels right. And I've handpicked a team of top-tier trial fighters and settlement experts throughout all 50 states known as big auto injury attorneys who have the know-how to beat heartless insurance companies, corporations, government entities, and their attorneys. Big Auto's attorneys working with my firm are rock stars in their respective states and collectively responsible for billions of dollars in recoveries. So if you or a loved one have been on the wrong side of a catastrophic auto, motor vehicle, rideshare, or truck accident, suffered a personal injury, or been the victim of medical malpractice, employment harassment or discrimination, or suffered a violation of your civil and constitutional rights, then contact the Popok Firm today at 1-877-POPOK-AF or by visiting my website at www.thepopokfirm.com and fill out a free case evaluation form. And if we determine that you have a case and you sign with us, we don't get paid unless you do. The Popok Firm, fighting for your justice every step of the way.